Assalamu Alaikum everyone, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. I know it's been ages since I've just sat down and had a pure chat with you guys. I know the vlogs have been coming up and it's actually a month late. But yeah, that's going on right now, so I do hope you guys are enjoying that. But in today's video, I do want to talk about Ramadan and the different ways of fasting and how I've been doing it. I know it's a little late, it's we're in the second week of Ramadan right now, but you know, better late than never. Now, for those of you guys who don't know, Ramadan is a holy month for us Muslims where we fast from dawn till sunset. So in prayer times, that's before Fajr and during Maghrib. We have our pre-fast meal very early in the morning, and that meal is actually called suhoor, or you'll hear some Muslims call it seri. My husband is Bengali and his family's Bengali as well, so they call it seri. So here in Australia, for example, we wake up for seri at 5 a.m. And we stop eating at around 5:50, depending on when the first light is. Obviously it changes throughout the month. The bare minimum during this fast is to abstain from food and water, but that's definitely not what it's all about. It's not all about just being hungry and thirsty. Again, abstaining from food and water is the bare minimum, and that in itself is a struggle. Believe me, it's very, very hard, right? But we should also aim to fast through our senses. For example, you can fast with your mouth, and that you become more mindful of the things you say. Are they positive? Are they benefiting someone? What is the intention behind what you're about to say? Is it pure? Does it have an ego or an agenda behind it? These are things that we should ask ourselves. We can also fast with our eyes, and that we become more cautious of the things that we choose to look at. Now, obviously, if it's by accident, you stare at something by accident, something popped up by accident, that's a completely different story. But when you do realize that you're not meant to look at something, lower your gaze. And yes, that includes the stuff on the internet. The internet is not this magical place where the rules of Islam don't apply. That definitely includes the internet. Scrolling through Instagram is sometimes so dangerous because, you know, all these things pop up and things like that. But again, if you see something that you're not meant to look at and you didn't purposefully search for it, it just, you know, popped up and you're scrolling through, lower your gaze. And I'm talking to the men right now. I know when you follow those fitness pages and all that kind of stuff, it's not fitspiration that you're getting. All those fitness chicks don't give you inspiration, they give you something else, okay? So lower your gaze, son. Believe it or not, the internet is actually under your control. That's how SEO works. You know, the stuff that you get recommended and the stuff that, you know, gets put on your feed and the explore page and things like that, they're there because of the stuff you searched up, the stuff you like, the pages you follow, and basically everything that you engage in. So that's how SEO works. So you need to do a little bit of reflecting and find out why you're being advertised or why those certain you know, images are getting recommended to you. So yeah, technically it's still under your control, but what is 100% certain, 1000% under your control, is your ability to lower your gaze. If you see something that, you know, you're not meant to see, you know you're not meant to see it, just lower your gaze, scroll past or exit it, and yeah, make that the last engagement you have with it. Because it is the 21st century, fasting with your hands does include being mindful when you're doing this. I just want to say that leaving public comments on the internet is as public as you can get. There's an unlimited number of people that can view that specific comment, so be very mindful when you choose to advise on the internet. You know, reflect on your intention first, and also remember that we are meant to give advice privately. General advice that doesn't target a specific person is a whole different story, but you can see why, you know, publicly correcting someone under a very public forum can be seen as very, very wrong. You're targeting a specific person and hanging them out to dry. Regardless of whether your intentions are pure or not, it still comes across as shaming that person. We can also fast with our ears, in that we become more mindful of what we choose to listen to. And I'm not just talking about music and, you know, the words behind a song or anything like that. Let's talk about, you know, what we listen to in our daily lives, like that gossipy aunt or that friend that can't wait to tell you some juicy details and things like that. So turn away from people like that. Turn away from listening to such vile words, because there's nothing good that comes out of gossip. Gossip in itself is just, it's crap. It's not productive, it's not positive in any way, shape, or form. But you also have to remember that, you know, with gossipers, they can't gossip unless they have someone to gossip to. So actually, in engaging, even just in listening to gossip, you are part of the problem. You are part of that sin. A more productive way would actually be lending your ear to someone who is in need of someone to talk to. And I'm not just talking about, you know, talking to a friend or, you know, to a complete stranger. Starting your own home, you know, when was the last time you actually asked your mom, you know, how she was doing, what's new in her life, or you don't have to ask her if she has any problems, that, you know, she can determine whether she wants to share that with you. But yeah, definitely engage in conversation like that. You know, we're so busy in our lives that we tend to neglect these relationships that matter. They really, really matter. And yeah, it's so easy for us to just be like, okay, no, I'll you know, I'm busy right now, I'll do it later. But you know, definitely this is a time to reconnect and correct those mistakes and, you know, build on that relationship. Lastly, we can fast with our feet in that we're more mindful of where they're taking us. Where are our feet taking us? Where are we going? You know, who are we meeting up with? Are we going to benefit ourselves or the people we're going to see by going to that location? Or is that going to, you know, tempt us? So reflect, you know, ask questions, you know, do I really want to go to iftar with my gossipy aunt? Or, you know, do I want to meet up with Amy and catch up or study or whatever? You know what I mean? You'll find that fasting with your senses will actually help you in reflecting on your actions more and being more attuned with your niyyah or your intention. You know, even simple mundane things like biting your tongue before you know, say something very negative or, you know, bite back on someone who said something to you. You know, these things are very small, but they make a humongous difference, and you know, Allah can see the efforts you're putting behind trying to better yourself. You can also start by simply just looking away or lowering your gaze when you see something that you're not meant to. Like, it's a small thing, but you know, making that a habit makes all the difference. I actually want to share something really, really beautiful regarding that. So for those of you guys who don't know, I spent 3 months in the Philippines preparing for my medical entrance exam, and if you don't know, Philippines is a Catholic country. It's one of the only Catholic countries apart from the Vatican. And so I stayed with my grandma, and one day it was very, very early in the morning, and there wasn't supposed to be any guests or any workers around, so I was eating my breakfast with my grandparents and I didn't have my hijab on. But my grandmother's driver, who is a male, came around and he saw that I had like no hijab on, and the first thing he did, like automatically straight away, was look away. He literally just looked away like that. He didn't, you know, come up to me and be like, hey, I can see your hair, or like, you know, thought of the worst of me and like accused me of things like, oh, you're doing this on purpose, you wanted me to see your hair, or anything like that. He just, you know, looked away because he knew that he wasn't meant to see that. We're not even of the same faith, but he gave me that respect. And you know, alhamdulillah, subhanallah, like it's amazing. It was such a simple thing, but the value of it was just priceless, honestly. And you know, if we can do this, you know, intra-religiously, I'm sure we can also do it within our own ummah. But yeah, subhanallah, he lowered his gaze and I thought that that was just beautiful. Anyways, this video is probably really, really long and I'm so sorry for that, but I do appreciate you guys watching and I do hope that you benefited from this video somehow. Ramadan Mubarak everyone, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!